Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you, Mr. Master?
I am good, Dr. Saab. Dr. Saab. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is our first podcast. Though we did do a test pilot.
Yes, we
You
did.
might have come across it. You might not have come across it.
If they were lucky, they probably have come across it.
Yes. So what is this about?
This podcast is called Daastan Geeky.
Daastan Geeky is all about geeky stuff and geekiness, and is going to be geekiness in the context of who we are and where we live.
Who are we?
Well,
We are geeks. What are we?
we are living in the subcontinent and we are as desi as it gets.
Yeah.
More than that, what are we more than that? We can't really talk about that for a very simple reason. We've discussed this before, we'll discuss it again. Anonymity is important in this show
We cannot give out names.
because it's Crowdian magic. No,
Yes.
because
No, I like the previous definition of the unaired pilot. What names give them power over us, you said?
Yep. Names have power, and we don't want anybody to have power over us,
Of course
as
not.
the beast himself, Mr. Crowley, said so himself, and even Anton Levitt.
Yes.
Uh,
Who is Anton Levitt? The name sounds familiar. What? Seriously?
Here's another reason why we have to be anonymous, because every now and then, unintentionally, strange things can come out of our mouths. Stranger things, even.
Strange.
So Anton Levitt is the founder of the Church of Satan,
Oh,
which
yeah.
we do
We
not
do not
advocate or follow in
We
any
do
way.
not follow. We
No.
do not follow.
Not at all.
Hide the knives. Hide the knives. Hide the candles. Hide the pentagram.
Shut up. All right.
And
So-
also, we do not want to. Have you seen the movie Puppet Master?
Which one? The low budget direct DVD release one, or the ones with the aliens?
I haven't seen either. But by the name, it sounds like somebody is controlling somebody, and probably by the power of the name.
But listen, so are you saying just on the spot you thought, hey, that sounds like a cool movie, will be relevant to this, and you didn't know such a movie existed, let alone two of them?
No, I've heard of the name of the movie, but
But you had no idea what it was.
I had no idea. What
You had no idea there's a Puppet Master with Donald Sutherland, and
Oh, the one with the toys.
no, that's the other one. That's the direct DVD release one.
Oh.
That's like a series of those.
With John Hurt in it, remember? Was that John Hurt?
John Hurt. When
No.
was John Hurt in it?
Not John Hurt. Was that guy? Really famous actor, man. The guy who played his Paul's father in the TV series of Dune.
Who's Paul? Oh, Malcolm McDowell.
No,
What?
not Malcolm McDowell. Of the TV series.
Who's Paul?
Paul Atreides.
Oh, Paul Atreides. That is what the name you said earlier.
Yeah, Hurt. John Hurt.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that's John Hurt.
Never mind. We're getting off. We're getting off track over here.
All right. So what happens here is this: we talk about everything that is geek, and we talk about it in the context that if I have to get my hands on a bunch of comics, I'm not going to Forbidden Planet. I'm going to Itwar Bazaar, or I'm going to Khada Market in the bookshop, where I'll get it for now is 150 rupees
Yeah.
per comic.
Yeah.
The second hand
From
bookshops.
a second-hand bookshop, that's 150 rupees.
And just to
roughly
give
like
just to give you an idea that
1.5
more of a context of where we're coming from. I used to buy first-hand comics when they were 25 rupees, so
Yeah.
that gives you an idea.
And the second-hand comics were for 10 rupees or something. I remember from a bookstore.
Oh yeah, that was much later. I mean, there weren't any second-hand comics before that. I mean, when they were 25, I even remember getting them for 14 rupees. Not second-hand.
New ones?
First hand, new ones.
Oh.
Yes, there was this amazingly, enormously large bookshop in Tarik Road, very famous, called Universal Bookshops.
So the master is really old, is what he's trying to say.
Yeah, by that he's probably implying that Dr. Saab is younger.
The doctor is young. The doctor is always young. And so the thing is, a little bit about ourselves. I'm a Star Wars fan,
I'm a Star Trek fan,
but I also like Star Trek.
but I also have started liking Star Wars now.
Exactly. So,
Now,
see,
ever,
I am a
ever since
diplomatic person. He is not.
ever since that loser George Lucas has had nothing to do with Star Wars become good.
Well, that's saying that the first three movies were bad. The
Yeah,
prequels.
yes, they were.
But
All right
4,
then.
5, 6 were.
I don't know, man.
4, 5, 6
Look,
minus the Ewoks.
all right. Here's my take on the original trilogy: Star Wars, New Hope, and Empire Strikes Back: Return of the Jedi. A whole generation of us grew watching those movies,
Yeah.
and since we grew up with it, there's such a nostalgia attached to it, and there's such a iconic 80s quality attached to it. Now we're just not ready to accept that those were bad science fiction movies.
No, that's your take.
I'd say it's quite an accurate take. I'll tell you where the evidence of this take is.
Mm-hmm.
If you pick up those original trilogy,
Yeah.
and you just and this kind of situation is very possible now, and you take this and you show them to a young man now who's never seen them before, he will not like them.
That's not true. I've actually showed them to people who have never seen Star Wars.
Well, in that case, I've also showed them to a lot of people who've never seen Star Wars. They
Yeah,
all
so-
hate it.
Well, I think it's the energy that goes with the handing over the DVDs. Yours was full of negative energy, and mine was full of positive energy. I was the light side of the force, and you were the dark side of the force.
Very well. Moving on.
Yeah. So we're gonna talk about stuff. So
Things.
Yeah, so things and stuff. So what do you want to talk about on this one, man?
Well, we'll quickly mention TV series that we saw. We won't talk about too much about it because it's done with, and season 2 is gonna come out now.
Because we have to be honest. We're not critics. We don't know the terms that are used in movie making.
Yeah.
Or,
Okay.
Yeah,
when we talk
exactly.
about something, it's not going to be
Take
in
it-
any way as somehow all of a sudden, and we've seen so many podcasts
Yeah.
like this. I thought all of a sudden we're like experts in filmmaking, movie
We're
making.
not.
We're not. We got nothing to do with the profession.
Take it with a grain of salt, man.
We're just gonna give you our opinions and views and feedbacks, and even our criticism of set properties and whatever we bring up from a point of view of just simply being geeks.
Yeah.
And desi geeks at that.
Most of our facts, some of them might not even be 100% accurate, but we'll try to make sure that they are.
We will?
I will, at least.
Okay.
And with that, we should begin. So
So Dr. Saab-
So I have an interesting question.
Yes.
You just mentioned that you used to hate Star Wars. What made you start liking it?
Oh, the fact that George Lucas has got nothing to do with them anymore.
So
Force Awakens.
So yeah,
Force Awakens.
You liked it?
Yes.
Well, most people say Force Awakens is an exact copy of
It is true.
A New Hope.
The basic plot is the same,
Yeah.
right? My problem with the original Star Wars movies wasn't the basic plot.
So you're just biased against them.
No, it was all the nuances and nitty gritties that they just got totally wrong. I'll give you an example. First of all, the thing that really put me off the most are the naming conventions. I mean, come on. So there's this rogue, he's a loner, so he's called Han Solo, right?
Okay.
It's a galaxy far, far away. So one guy is called General Tarkakis, Tarkin, Varkin, or some shit like that, right? What's his name? Tarkassus, Tuskman,
Admiral Tarkin.
Admiral Tarkus, right? But the other guy's got this Greco-Christian name called Luke.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense.
I mean,
The naming conventions suck, man.
it's a galaxy far, far away. What do you know?
So what are Christians doing there? What are Europeans doing
there?
there?
There are no Christians over there. It's just
Why is the name called Luke?
it's a coincidence.
See, those coincidences put me off. Okay, and then you have this very obvious. So the good guys are the light side.
Yeah.
The bad guys are the dark side.
Yeah, well, the same could be said about Star Trek then. The
Tell-
good guys are the Federation. All the bad guys are an empire. The Klingon Empire, the Romulan Empire, the Cardassian Empire.
And
Why is that?
I'll tell you why. And that is the biggest difference between those who criticize Star Trek and those who criticize Star Wars. Those who criticize Star Trek, though I know in his case it's not true, those who criticize Star Trek are people who don't watch Star Trek. But those who criticize Star Wars are people who actually go and watch Star Wars and then criticize it.
Yeah, but you didn't answer my question.
So answer is this. You're wrong about your facts, and you know you are.
Why?
There is no villains in Star Trek. There never has been. The Klingon Empire is somebody who has a dispute with the Federation at times. Sometimes they're allies. Sometimes a misunderstanding.
Cardassians were villains.
Not at all.
Of course,
If
they were based on the Nazis,
And what happens in the end?
in the end, they finally realize that they've lost the war. So they're like, okay, we're gonna make.
What
peace.
happens in the end is you find that it's not so black and white, and you have many Cardassians who are sympathizing with the Bajorans, and throughout the. Okay, I'll give you this. Another reason why I Star Trek and go into more details and nuances of such matters is because, well, it's a TV series. They have more time. Secondly, but here's the thing, it's also science fiction. And that's why Star Wars, when I say it's bad science fiction, it's also bad science fiction because maybe it doesn't now anymore, but it keeps marketing itself as science fiction when it's really not science fiction.
Yeah, it isn't.
Because evil cannot exist in science fiction.
Yeah, I'll agree with you there. So yeah, I'll give in to facts when you.
But the second problem is droids.
No, I totally agree with you. Yeah, the droids have been used in a very evil way.
Yeah, and I think people want to know what that evil way is. So let me tell them. Tell it to them. Here's the problem with the droids in Star Wars. So you're gonna design these robots who are there to pretty much serve you.
Yeah.
So they're your servants, which is fine. They don't have sentience, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't have emotions and stuff, so it's okay. The problem is they're designed and programmed to have emotions to such an extent that they even feel stuff like fear. So like, think about it, man. I designed a robot to be with me all the time and serve me and be there in like dangerous diplomatic missions. But he goes, "Oh my God, Master, I'm scared. C-3PO, come over here. No way, screw you. I'm not coming over here. I don't want to die." What kind of flawed design is that? And then you design them to actually feel pain because in like the Java Palace, they're literally interrogating or torturing droids and they're going, no, ah! And they actually feel pain, man. That's like the sickest universe I have ever seen.
That was an oversight on George Lucas's.
No, George Lucas is an idiot, man.
So what made you like Star Wars? You liked Force Awakens? Did you like Rogue One?
I loved Force Awakens, but more along the lines of because it was simply better than what I've seen before. Not original or something new. Like you said, it's just like the New Hope. The basic plot structure is the same, but the presentation, everything is just so much better. By presentation, I mean they didn't go overboard with the droids. They didn't go overboard with. They didn't like put in some guy who has a racist accent or little cuddly bears running around. It was good. It was keeping true to Star Wars. So true that it's pretty much the same story, but taking away all the stuff that was pretty crap. The crap stuff George Lucas put in there. Rogue One, on the other hand, now that was a kick-ass movie.
A lot of critics are saying it's the best Star Wars.
It is the best Star Wars, maybe it's also a good Star Wars movie because in many ways it's not really Star Wars.
True, it's just a standalone story set in the Star Wars universe. But I think I personally liked it even more because of the small nuances of characters who made brief appearances.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, especially the Darth Vader scene in the end was insane. Yeah. I think the Darth Vader scene is by far, in my opinion, the best scene ever in cinema history.
It blew me away. It could have been better
if they hadn't revealed him in the beginning.
Yes. Let that last scene seriously just stand on its own. Don't have Darth Vader appear before that end moment, and it would have been even more. It was good as it was, but it would have been even more better if that was the first appearance of Darth Vader in this movie.
I mean, and a stupid line like "Don't choke on your ambitions" and stuff like that. I mean, come on. They should have just kept it in the DVD and released it as a deleted scene.
But nonetheless, Rogue One by far best Star Wars movie, and not just best because comparatively is better, but because even as a movie, I thought it was a great movie. And I tell you something very interesting. I went to watch that movie with somebody who has not seen a single Star Wars, not even New Hope, not the prequels, not even Force Awakens. And they enjoyed every second of it, and they understood it, which shows a movie which has so much like like little homages to previous movies and like the strict continuity things, footnotes, wagara. And somebody who's never seen Star Wars still enjoys it and understands it. That means that movie was just made well.
It was made well. So, are you looking forward to the new one, The Last Jedi?
Oh, yeah, that's a new one.
Yeah.
Strange enough, I'm actually looking more forward to the other one. Jinka cast they just.
They have started production on the Han Solo movie.
Yeah, I'm actually more excited about that.
Yeah.
Like Force Awakens, I liked because I just liked it more compared to the previous Star Wars movies. I don't think it was a great movie.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
compared
that's,
to Rogue One,
yeah,
definitely.
So that's why I'm not too excited about The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Rogue One I loved, and the fact that Rogue One is just a standalone shit.
Yeah.
That's also the reason why I'm more excited about the Han Solo movie. But that's gonna be some time, I take it.
Yeah, it's gonna come out this year, December.
Really?
Wait, the Han Solo movie?
Yes.
Oh no, that's gonna be next year. They've said May, but I doubt they'll make that deadline because they just started shooting.
Star Wars
and Star Trek. See, speaking of Star Wars, there's a new Star Trek show coming on air.
Star Trek Discovery.
Time. It was supposed to come out in May, but
I know. Well, May. Last year, the initial news that hit, it actually used to say February.
Yeah.
And then it started saying May, and I don't know when it's going to come out now.
I read an article last month that they've cast the captain, so I doubt it's going to come out in May.
I was very excited for it.
Yeah.
Up till February, but then it kept delaying and
I'm still excited for it, but it's going to take a while.
Let's see, man. Star Trek.
I hope it's set in the previous universe.
Apparently, it is and it isn't in the sense that I don't think that's a concern for a very simple reason. It's set before the classic series.
It's set before the classic series.
And it's set after this other Star Trek prequel series that they call the Enterprise.
Yeah.
So. See the reboot movie series.
I know it's gonna be in the old universe. Yeah.
I mean because anything that happened before that reboot movie is in both universes. So this history can pretty much apply to both universes.
True.
Since the reboot wasn't just a reboot, it was just the the formation of another timeline.
Yeah.
So since this series is set before those changes in the timeline, it can pretty much serve as a backdrop for both, which is in many ways that's very clever.
That's true. But they have confirmed that Klingons are gonna be there.
Oh yes.
And they shared behind-the-scene pictures of the uniform and everything.
Oh,
so
I haven't seen
ridges.
those.
They have ridges.
Oh yeah, they should have ridges, man. They're gonna have ridges now.
Anybody who hasn't been a huge Star Trek fan, in the classic series of the 60s, the Klingons
did not have ridges.
They were shown as Mongolians, more or less.
Yeah.
And then
racist bastards.
And then when they made the Next Generation with Patrick Stewart.
No. When they made Star Trek the motion picture.
Yeah,
started having no explanation. Well, explanation was simple. They didn't have good special effects and makeup then they had a layer.
Yeah.
But in universe, everybody always used to say, there needs to be explanation for that. And so in a lot of novels and a lot of comics, which are not canon, but authors made many attempts
to
give explanations. This explanation that was given in DC Comics, when DC had the license of Star Trek, it was very simple. It was simply that there are like various ethnicities of Klingons, and so for a while, what happened is the lower caste Klingons, which were without ridges, they
were the soldiers. They took over.
Okay. And for a century or something, they were in charge.
Yeah.
So in the classic series, they were in charge. But then those guys came back again, and then again. So next generation. So now what happened is this. So that was all fine. Up until in Deep Space Nine, some classic actors from Star Trek, they came back as their old characters, Klingons. But they had ridges again. So now they need another explanation. Deep Space Nine kind of handled that.
Yeah, he just said it's an embarrassing history.
Yeah.
We do not talk about it.
So there was this episode in Deep Space Nine which they go back in time, and so Worf have to wear a bandana so people don't see him, and they just go, "What? That's the Klingon? What's happened to his forehead?"
Because they were using
don't talk about it
from the classic series.
So that was cool, but no explanation.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Marvel Comics did this very cool one-shot. A Deep Space Nine comic in which they explained what happened, but in a very strange way. So the crew are sitting down right after that mission, and they're discussing it amongst ourselves. So what happened, man? Well, why did they lose their ridges? And so everybody offers what they've heard.
Yeah.
So like O'Brien says, this is what I've heard, and then he tells his whole story of why they lost their ridges, and then Bashir says it, and one of them is like tribbles. You know, when they're near tribbles, they start mutating. That's why they hate tribbles. You know, and then Dax says, you know, I was there, and then I'll tell you what really happened. In the end, they all decide that they just, you know, bullshitting.
Yeah.
So the last panel ends this way. Odo comes in, somebody comes in. Gentlemen, I know what you were looking for, and here is the gentleman who knows the actual truth. And they all turn around, my God, of course, who else would know? And the last panel, they show this character called Morn.
Oh.
So Morn is a character in that series who just basically doesn't talk.
No, you know, he keeps on talking, but whenever he appears on screen, he's always quiet.
I mean, from the distance, you always see like he's talking to somebody, but when, you know, the camera comes near him, he's just quiet. You know?
And that's because Morn was based on Norm from Cheers. And that guy used to talk, and everybody used to be like, man, he just doesn't shut up. And even on screen, he used to talk a lot. So he was based on that character, but they spun a funny thing into it that whenever the scene would appear with Mon, they'd be like, all right, Mon, you've been talking a lot, now let us talk. And he would always be like, oh, okay. So, but the main thing, man, in Enterprise, the prequel series, they did explain why the
Yes, so in the Enterprise, they officially explained it. And personally, I thought it was too convoluted.
They were like, let's just tie up loose.
I don't know what it was.
There was a virus that was introduced into the Klingon Empire.
And then they created augments similar to the Khan species.
It was believable. Let's just leave it at that.
Oh, acha, I found it so convoluted. I don't even remember what the explanation was.
It was a virus which they increased, they released in the atmosphere.
No, but what did those genetically engineered soldiers have anything to do with it?
They were the ones who released the virus. They wanted to destroy the Klingon Empire.
And so what the virus did is it got rid of their
basically
foreheads.
What the doctor of the
so
Enterprise...
the makeups fell off.
No, the doctor of the Enterprise tried to change the virus in the last minute. So this was the least amount of
So here's my problem with Star Trek and all the aliens in Star Trek.
Why do they all have ridges?
No, I mean, is that the only thing you can do? Hey, let's create a new alien species. What do? Let's put spots on their forehead. Okay, hey, there's a new alien species. What do? Let's put triangles on their forehead. Hey, there's a new alien species. What do? Let's put extra eyeballs on their forehead. Can't you do anything other than the forehead, man? I mean, I remember in Voyager, they're like, let's introduce this new, bad guys. He's gonna be the main bad guys of this new series in another quadrant of space. And they just have ridges on their foreheads. You can't even tell the difference between them and Klingons.
So let me give you another piece of interesting trivia.
About foreheads.
About Klingons.
Alright.
In Star Trek Into Darkness, there were Klingons.
I saw the deleted scenes.
No, not in the deleted scene. I saw it in the cinema.
Oh, sorry, right. The first one that... Yeah, okay.
The second one in Darkness.
Yeah.
So they fought Klingons. Klingons had ridges.
Yeah.
In Star Trek Discovery, they showed Klingons. Klingons have ridges.
Oh.
Our theory is that these are Klingons, a faction, like you said, who were not on the planet, and when the virus was.
I think what's really happening is nobody cares about the virus.
I know, man.
Nobody's as nerd as we are. It doesn't matter. Most people wouldn't even pick something like that up.
Yeah, but the people listening to this podcast, I'm sure they will have a problem with it. So I'm just trying to explain to them.
All right. So we've tackled what a podcast is about.
So
we've talked about Star Wars and Star Trek and foreheads.
But the $1 million question, man, we haven't answered it yet. Why does Superman used to wear his underwear over his pants?
I'm pretty sure the answer is the same reason Batman did.
So that's it, folks. This is it for this episode, and we will catch you next week with more interesting and useless information that we would like to talk about.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.